it got really traumatic at the end as well because we were then living together already, and I had to throw him out of the house. And it wasn't orchestrated by me, it was an external intervention by my therapist and the family because they have seen how bad it has become. Where the only thought that I had was maybe the only way to end this is to end my life. And maybe when I end my life, I can go home. I can be with my parents again.
Hi everyone, my name is Malvina. Welcome to Rising with Gaia. This is a space for conversations with humans who are devoted in their own unique ways to healing, building, serving, and contributing to the collective rising and consciousness of humanity and the earth. In each episode, we'll be chatting with healers, builders, visionaries, and change makers walking unique paths in service of something greater than themselves. So in this episode, we'll be chatting with Dr. Marianne Freeman, a chiropractor, Reiki practitioner, somatic practitioner, whose work bridges physical, emotional, and energetic healing through the lens of the nervous system and the body. And what I really, really love about Marianne's perspective is how holistic and grounded it is. And she's very compassionate in the way that she shows up, like as a person, as well as through her work. And her work isn't just about physical adjustments, okay? But she's also here about like helping people feel safe, connected, and regulated and at home within themselves. And in this conversation, we explore Marianne's journey, her relationship with nervous system healing, her relationship with grief, the body's wisdom, spirituality, emotional regulation, community, and how healing can become such a pathway for us to come back to ourselves. So whether you're deeply into healing work or simply curious about the connection between body, stress, emotions, I feel that there's a lot in this conversation that would resonate with you. So we're just gonna dive in. Hello, Marianne.
Hello, Malvina.
Hello,
Thank you. That
hello.
was a beautiful introduction. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
It's just introducing you as a
Yeah.
person, right? Okay, so how to even begin? So Marianne's my chiropractor. I just tell everybody that. And also someone who has become my friend, and I see her every week. But I feel like there's so much about her that contributes to and the way that, she's shown up, that I feel like there's so much more that she has to share that I don't know about. So we're gonna learn together about Marianne. So just starting off, like, how was it like for you growing up?
I have been reflecting on this because I do feel that I had a very lovely upbringing, very wonderful, a very warm family. And because I live so much in the present slash past, what I mean by that is like I'm constantly feeling, I'm sensing, I feel like every moment, every memory that I have, I am in it and I replay it often. So the earliest memory of life, I surprise myself sometimes with this. I actually think that that was from a time when I was in probably in my early months of infancy, because I remember I'm from Singapore, right? So I remember that I used to be in a swallow, and it's this rough tartan like material that parents would use to tighten it to the wall with like a spring, and then they'll put their babies in it and the spring will bounce and the baby would just feel really safe and comfortable. And you have to be pretty small to fit into that. And that's what is my first memory. Like I remember the smell of the cloth. I remember the feeling and the touch of the cloth on my skin. I remember that feeling of being suspended and comfortable. And I remember seeing an item dangling like right above me. So I was like, wow, that awareness must have started like a long way back, and everything's building on it ever since. So, saying that, the reason why I keep thinking that I do have a very warm and loving family and an environment that my parents cultivated, myself and my younger brother, who's 4 years younger, it cultivated such a warm, loving feeling. Sometimes I do wonder if it's everything is construed by like my own mm, wishes. Because as I grow older, I realize there's so much vigilance in my system that I'm constantly making sure that I'm on my tippy toes to take care of people. I'm watching tone, I'm watching emotion, and I'm adapting myself to it. And I'm thinking, hey, maybe this might have actually started a bit earlier. Maybe, yes, my childhood and my environment have been great in my memories, but nothing in life is ever truly that golden hour perfect. And perhaps my parents might have been stressed, um, whether financially or if there's any other things happening in their lives at that point. And because I was the oldest child, the oldest sister, I would constantly just, it became part of my personality to make sure that everyone is always okay and putting everyone first. So it reached a point that that became my stress response. And we know that there are 5 different F's in your nervous system's stress response, which is fight, flight, freeze, flop, and fawn. And fawn meaning that you're always people pleasing. If I'm in that space constantly, then something must have led my nervous system to believe that I'm under threat in whichever way or form or in whichever capacity. So if we were to go way back, I think that is when there has been an awareness of something a bit more, something greater than myself that's always been there. And being a sensitive child, um, I do remember in my early formation years. So I think from as long as I can remember up until I was 5 or 6, in the home that I used to live in, it was a maisonette. So it was a 2-story apartment. And it's half my memories and half memories that was passed down from my mother and the stories that she and her siblings used to tell me about how I used to wave at people that, or wave at things that they can't see, or I'm talking to someone, or I seem to be like entertained by something else, and it used to freak them out. But for me, I didn't even realize it was a thing until much later when I realized, oh, there are some memories that I had that's like, I wonder what I've been seeing, you know? And ghost stories have always been a part of Asian culture. It's a part of my family culture because my grandma is a sensitive. She's seen things, she's heard things, and she's a great storyteller. So it's always present in our family. And when things like this happen, it didn't occur to me like, or it was never a, oh, this is weird or anything else. It's just like, oh, okay, I guess I did see someone sitting on a lamppost in the middle of the night. Mom, why is she there? Or like, I thought that I walked past my mother when we were living in that 2-story building when I went down in the middle of the night to grab water. Because as I was coming up, my mom walked past me and I went back into my room and my mom was there and I was like, oh, I thought you just went down. And she was like, no, I was here the whole time. And my mom would always like grab me and hug me and be like, okay, you're okay, we're okay. And she's a bit freaked out because my dad's usually traveling for work. And this was around the time or just before my brother was born. So all these instances kept building. And when I was in secondary school, I realized that I was actually really a bit too sensitive, too open to things. So when emotions get wired, when emotions or tension rises in a room, I find myself responding first. So like my body responses are quicker than what's happening in my mind. Like I either tense up, I jump up, I respond to something that's not even probably directed at me. And it just feels like I need to curtail that situation. I need to like calm everything down. So there were instances where things happen in the classroom. We were young, everyone's just like, you know, what's that what I'm looking for? Very boisterous and loud. And there will be times when we have relief teachers that classmates they don't feel comfortable with and they will voice it out. And I don't feel comfortable with confrontation. So when things get too much for me, my system response would then be to black out. So I would have found myself in the sick bay 2 or 3 times without knowing how I got there. And a comment that a friend casually made, just like, "You're such an emotional basket." And I was like, it could have been like a casual comment and just be like, You're very emotional or you're very sensitive." But at that point, all I could think of was like, something's wrong with me. And this was when I was 14 or 15. And at that point, I just felt like, mm, I'm a bit too weird. This is not right. Maybe this is not normal. Maybe seeing things, hearing things, feeling like reading the room constantly and just being on edge. I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to shut all this off. None of it exists. And somehow I managed to. So I was living in a blackout mode from um, my mid teens up all the way till I was 28. Yeah. So I would say in those years, I'm still having a lot of good memories. I'm still living life, being in the present, but I stopped really sensing anything else like extra. And then that would lead into another point, which I will explain further down. But those were really massively intense years for me, which from 28 up to 31, I would say I had no choice but to go on my healing journey. Yeah. Well, that was a very long
Wow.
history
No, no.
start.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Wow. I really feel you. I really feel you. The fact that you're able to sensorially remember and feel an experience from when you were an infant, from, just have that hyper awareness of things, I feel like that's already like a sign that this is, I mean, I feel like everyone has a sensitive aspect. It's just like which part of the spectrum of sensitivity you're at. And I feel like it's really cool that you grew up feeling that, hey, this is actually very, very normal. I mean, for a certain period of time until you hit your teens, of course. I could relate completely. Like, I didn't find it odd that I would have out of body experiences. Like, just another night, just another day. But, like, yeah, when we hit that particular age where really mingle with other kids and be part of that kind of environment, then we start questioning. And but also because I feel like at that age, kids also tend to go through so much and there's a lot changing in the body. So we end up everything feels more amplified. And I find it interesting how, like, okay, you shut it down. And then when you hit 28 years old, which is actually the start of your Saturn return. So things are bound to change at that point. You can't, it's
Yeah.
inevitable. I feel like even no matter how much we try to shut things off, like our essence, our truth will begin to, hey, okay,
Mm.
enough playing. Time to listen to me now. Time to give me attention. And based on everything that you've shared, it makes so much sense. You make so much sense. all the different layers
Mhm.
of you, your sensitivity, your relationship to the unseen, your relationship to your body. It's like bringing everything back home and back together. So that goes to my next question, I suppose, or what I'm curious about. So, what was the threshold? Like, what was the point where you're like, this is enough, and things started to change for you?
This just happened just before 28. I'm very vocal with my love and affection to my family, to the point where it's like not clingy, but I like to be the little one at no matter what age I am, to be like mommy or like grandma, I'm here, and just always like being around the people that I love. I really, really embrace that. So I picked up from my parents. My mom and my dad, they're both givers. My mom is the main support person, emotional support person, I would say as well, in her family and her friend group. Like people go to her to share things. My father is a social butterfly. Like we hold parties at our house, Christmas, New Year's, like we would family gatherings would be like doing something fun, or he always likes to bring people together, and he's always very giving. If anyone needs any financial help, he's there no matter what. And who needs him, like his friends or a bit family. So I'm always in that state of like wanting to give as a act of love. To me, giving in any way form is always how I express it. And when things happen and when um, life gets tough, it's hard for me to, it's a bit difficult to say this as well, to face this, but it's a little bit difficult to be right in it. And there are times when I feel like by doing something for whoever needs it, example for my mom, I'll explain why shortly. By doing anything that I can to help out in terms of like, I'll go grab groceries, I'll go take care of I'll go see grandma for you, and like I'm always on the move. That's the way I cope. And there's that component of that fawn as well. It's like I just want to please my mom and please my relatives, and like take care of my brother. If he wants water, I'll be like, okay, I'll come and fetch it for you. It's always like back and call, right? So in leading up to 2014, my mom was diagnosed with, it's been a while since I think I spoke about this. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And doctors at that point were like, you have 6 months to live. And I didn't know how to deal with that. So I was busy. Um, you need me to run errands, you need me to do this and do that. Like I'm out and I'm about, because I couldn't sit with the fear of losing her. And she was strong. She was really, really strong. She would, she does her research. She doesn't smoke. She doesn't eat unhealthy food. She loves her salad. She loves her like clean meals. She exercises more than anyone in the family. She's always on our tails on drinking water. It's important to drink water. And now I'm on everyone's tails. You need to drink water. So um, I couldn't understand. Like, you're the healthiest person I know. Why? How did this lung cancer come about? Yes, I get that it's a genetic thing. Yes, I get that everyone has a gene in our bodies that can develop into whatever waveform type of cancer. But I didn't understand it, and I couldn't sit with that feeling. So mom was really, really strong. She lived past that 6 months diagnosis that the doctor gave her, extended it to 3 years. And then in 2014, her mother, my ama, was 97 when she Um, I think she passed in her sleep. That was a huge blow to everyone. So I'm very, very close to my grandma as well. And my Teochew, my dialect, was improving because I'm constantly like talking to grandma, going to visit her and everything. And I felt really guilty when grandma passed because I knew that for the past couple of months that my mom was battling with her cancer, going for her treatments. It was a very painful process for her. But because I couldn't sit with it, it's like because I couldn't face it. I wasn't home a lot because I was busy doing everything else. And my younger brother, Brian, he was very present with her. And I really appreciate him for that because I'm sorry. Because I knew then that she had someone that's always with her. And I could then be the bridge for her, the bridge to mm, connect with her family and like do the things that she can't. So mom struggled. And after her mom passed, that mental fortitude wavered. And that's where I was like, mind over matter is really a thing. Like, if your mind, if your spirituality, if your beliefs are strong enough, your body molds into that direction. So when grandma passed, mom didn't last too long after. So grandma passed end of November, and mom fought until February the following year. And then later that year, and now it's only left with my dad, my brother, and myself. And my dad's the traditional Asian dad, right? Even though I have a very westernized upbringing, like um, in terms of like, oh, we're raised with values and not based on religion because we didn't have a religion at that point. It was only in the later years that my mom discovered Catholicism. Like it's always been our lives because it's a diverse family. Yeah, mom rediscovered Catholicism. And then dad, he's not a Sunday church goer. He's like a Christmas goer. So every Christmas mass we'll be there. That's the only time we ever went to church. Um, and during the time that mom was sick, both my parents had rediscovered and gone through that whole rebaptism and everything. But my brother and I, we're still free thinkers. My brother was a complete atheist, and I was in complete like, there's something out there. There's definitely something out there. I don't know what that is. I don't know what religion I believe in because I'm exposed to Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhism, Islam, and yoga, like as a lifestyle. So then I had a whole different set of identity as compared to my brother. Anyway, at the end of 2016, I met my now ex boyfriend, and things were great in the beginning, but things escalated very quickly because we both had really big reactional triggers to each other, which I didn't understand then. So it was a very turbulent second half of the year after my mom passed. Early in the year, he started developing stomach issues. And that was when we were like, okay, go get checked. We know that you are having depression as well. So anything could be happening within the body. Results came back, fourth stage colon cancer. But I respect his decisions. Dad didn't want to go through treatment because he saw how painful it was for mom. And I knew also that he wanted to be with her as soon as possible. So then, yeah, he went on the opposite spectrum. He went out, he lived his life. He was socializing. He was with his friends. He was spending time with us. He was doing so many things. And we knew that we had a very limited time with him. But I didn't know it was that limited that we lost him in July that year. Mom and dad both passed exactly 1 month before their birthday and 1 day apart. So mom's birthday is the 3rd of March. She passed February 10th, even numbers. Dad's birthday was the 3rd of August, and he passed July 11th. And at that point, I was like, what is this? Like, okay, maybe you're now with mom and, things are meant to be somehow. And I was thinking, like, maybe there is something really bigger out there, and I just need to figure out, like, why? Why did all this happen? I know it's out of our control, but there is a feeling like it was guided or it was meant to be. That 1 year after my dad passed, things were really, really turbulent in my relationship. And it had started to affect my relationship with my brother up to the point where it was a very interesting push pull in the relationship where my then partner did not want to let me go. And I was trying to find ways to end it because we had gone through 3 different couple therapies, and all of them have advised that, hey, this is something that we don't think you can work out. It got really traumatic at the end as well because we were then living together already, and I had to throw him out of the house. And it wasn't orchestrated by me, it was an external intervention by my therapist and the family because they have seen how bad it has become. Where the only thought that I had was maybe the only way to end this is to end my life. And maybe when I end my life, I can go home. I can be with my parents again. And that was such a strong, deep yearning. That is the thing that I prayed for and I bargained with God. Even believe in, I didn't even know who I believed in. And I was like, can I make a bargain? Like, can you get me out of this? And I'll give anything to be done. Suicide ideation was there constantly. And in that relationship, it was bad because there was a lot of, I think my then partner had a lot of his own stuff that was coming up. He was a twin, and I think there was a lot of insecurity within himself as well, anxiety and depression, which I didn't know that he had back then. I wasn't so in tune because there was just so much going on in me. I was in grief. And one of the things that kept coming up was that he was constantly asking, like, we'll go out, we'll do things, and he'll be like, who are you looking at? Why are we looking at that guy? And I'm like, I'm not. We'll go and order food, and I'm talking to the waiter and I'm placing an order, and he's like, why were you looking at him? And I'm like, I'm ordering food. But it became a fear. So I didn't want to go out anymore. I was so afraid of leaving the house because now I'm like conditioned to think like we're gonna fight. Or like if I have to meet my friends, we're gonna fight. So I had at that point essentially cut off everything or as much as possible. I wasn't really going down to eat because I had quit my job after my dad died because I felt really, really bad that I couldn't be 100% at the job. And I really respected my bosses, my colleagues, because I was a chiropractic assistant at that point from 2014 to 2017. By chance, a friend had recommended me to Life Chiropractic Center as a chiropractic assistant. And this is where I am as a chiropractor now. Coming back full circle. I had left that job at that point. I was at home. I was losing muscle mass because I wasn't moving. I was only eating one meal a day or once every 2 days. And I had become like a skeleton of myself. And it's not just me, like it was me and my then partner. We both were in that state. So it's not living, That's where things took a turn. I was still going for counseling, and there was an intervention because I think my counselor was like, it's a it's a high risk for me at that point. But we were both in that state. So after that, it was really hard to even stay in this house. So I had moved in with a close friend of mine because I felt like I couldn't sleep and I couldn't do anything, I couldn't function. I was put on sleeping pills and antidepressants. It's like, it's not a good combination for me, for my system. So I would wake up feeling that sense of like brain fog. It took long things. I was constantly like in flux and I still felt like I wasn't living. So 3 months after uh, the end of that relationship, so I ended in like March or something, 2018, I was suddenly struck with the thought that if it's not my time to go, maybe I need to seek for some answers and find some closure. Finally, decided to go on a trip with my really good friend Vivian. We went to Europe because my dad has a foster family from Belgium. They're Swiss German. They had raised him in a certain point in their lives. I'm actually named after my foster aunt, Marianne. It's a beautiful name. It's representing that lady of freedom. Yeah, when I went over to Europe, that's when the next phase of my life started with healing.
Wow. Thank you so much, Marianne. It's almost like all these different points, losses, grief, and it almost feels like it's an initiation of sorts that kind of brought you here now. At that point in your life, I'm very curious, did you already know that you were going to be doing healing work?
I knew I was going to go into something, I don't know what. And I had almost missed my window of opportunity because my then partner, he did not want me to study chiropractic because he did not want me adjusting meals. So I had almost given up on that. But yeah, long answer short, I knew it. I just didn't know how to get there.
When you went on that trip with Vivian and when things started to open up for you, at which point did things start to feel clear again for you, and when did you start recognizing yourself again? Because it almost feels like, especially that relationship, it's almost like you kind of lost yourself through the overgiving and through the contraction. Which point did you like, okay, this is Marianne, I'm starting to feel like myself again? And what was that like?
The serendipity of it all was that when I went to see my aunt in Belgium, I had also planned to go to the school in Barcelona, the chiropractic school in Barcelona. There's a whole different story on its own. So when I went to see my aunt in June, we had already been on like a little European leg of our trip. Just nice, my aunt was telling me that okay, she's the yoga in my life, yeah. And within the yoga community, there is a spiritual leader they call Baba. And the Baba is the one that gives this, don't know the right terms for that, so forgive me for it because I don't know enough of the spiritual aspect of it. But he gives like guidance, he channels information and he shares for like group shares, like weekly shares across the world with his yoga circles. They do karmic cleansing, they do all these different activities. It's not just yoga, like as the exercise. There's so much spirituality in it. The meditation, the breathing, the being, the encompassing that life of like less is more. It's amazing. So Baba at that point was filming he's a filmmaker as well. and he was going into all this spiritual stuff as part of his calling. So he wanted to film his last film, which is The Last Supper. Okay. And he was getting all his all his yogis together and people who would be able to participate as extras. So my aunt, she was like, can you please bring a traditional costume from your country so that you can participate in the baptism scene? And I was like, okay. And she said, we're going to be walking in the dunes of the coast of Belgium. I can't remember the name of the town, but we're going to be walking in the sand, and it's going to show it as a pilgrimage. As we walk towards Baba, who will be in the sea, and he'll be giving the baptism from the sea. And I was like, all right. And Marianne was telling me that I have no idea what your karma is with Baba, but it is very difficult to meet him in person. It's like meeting the Pope. And every trip that I've made to Europe so far, I have met him. So my timing and his timing has always coincided. Yeah, it was a incredible journey because I was like, what? We're going to do this? Okay. Yeah, like I thought it was just part of a film. It was a whole day filming that we were doing. And I think that was my turning point. That day specifically, I was like, I don't need the sleeping pill. I don't need the antidepressant. I'm okay. And I just went off it. I didn't even consult my psychologist. Sorry, my psychiatrist. I didn't consult her. I just was like, okay. And then we did that filming. And for the first time in those few years, walking in a straight line, walking in my cheongsam, I was wearing a cheongsam in the cold because this is by the beach and I had just like a wrap. I walked with my mom, my dad. I could feel them. My brother, I could feel him. And we walked as a family. It was literally hours that we were walking. And then we had to cross over little streams of water that would be like on the beach. Like it's an incredible view. We would cross little streams here and there. It was a whole journey. And at that point, I heard my mom's voice. And I don't have videos of them. Like it was a time when we didn't have videos, we had photos. I couldn't hear her voice anymore. And I heard her voice, and it was like, you can do this. We're here. And at that point, I reached Baba in the water. He looked to my right, he looked to my left, he looked at me, and he blessed me. And I was like, what? And he just gave me a look, and he was like, welcome home. Okay. Continued the day. And since that point, like everything else was, there's so much details. Like I won't go into it, but I went to the school in Barcelona after, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna do this. I came back to Singapore, and I'm like, I need a job. And Dr. Brian Morris, he was my boss. His ex-wife Amy Morris introduced me to a good friend, Natalia Rachel, who does trauma-informed relational somatics now. And she hired me as part of like to be a clinic manager for a alternative therapy clinic. So it's a clinic where there was acupuncture, TCM, there was lymphatic drainage, there was massage and somatic work and all this, and I was exposed to all these different therapies. That was the point when I also had looked out for my own Reiki master that was introduced to me by two different people, but they gave me the same name. I reached out, I felt a connection. I went on my Reiki 1 for myself, Reiki 2 as a practitioner. In my time in the clinic, one of my jobs was also to like interview therapists, see how like they do their things and screen them and see how compatible they were. I would actually say that every session that I did, the thing that they came forward to present to the clinic was not the session that I had with them. all of them gave me something different. Like massage therapy became Aboriginal healing work. Like it, the list goes on. And at one point, I'm going to highlight this because I would think it's actually very pivotal for me. That year was the first year of a festival called Love and Light Festival. It was held at Marina Bay Sands Convention Hall. I went in not knowing so much of all this, but I was like, I recognized things. And I felt called to go to this booth where there was sound healing. So in those massive convention halls, what you would see is an open space booth with no ceiling. So it's a high ceiling and it's really bright lights. And it was supposed to be group healing sessions, but that hour that I booked in, I was the only one. So it was a couple from Perth, and they are a traveling pair of sound healers. So they had the didgeridoo, they had like the crystal bowls, they had all these different instruments. And that journey, they were like, okay, you don't need to do anything, just lie here. And they didn't even put anything over my eyes. I laid there, they started the session. My vision went completely dark because if it's so bright, you can still see light behind your eyelids. It wasn't, it was as if something was there. And I brought my hands up and I was like, okay, there really isn't anything. Complete darkness. And suddenly I was in this space while I was just walking. It's this dune, it's this sandy area. I was walking and walking and walking. And then the vision changed into like my view was this and it was dark. And I knew I was walking on sand. And then suddenly I looked up and the sky with all the stars was just there. And it all zoomed in so quickly towards me. And I was like, whoa. And then it zoomed back out. My vision went down, and there was an Aboriginal elder standing in front of me. At this point, I did not know what this was. And he beckoned, and I followed. And there was a group of of the elders of the Aboriginal people sitting in a circle. The person who beckoned me, he grabbed the sand and he threw it into the fire. And my vision just like switched into a place that I have been seeing in my mind since I was young, multiple times, the same view. I could never figure out where this was. I've never been here. And that view is me standing on the cliff and I'm facing an open ocean. And I have a cottage that I know is behind me and a forest beside me, but I could never turn to see it. And I knew there was a winding path around the corner and a village right there. It feels like a Celtic coast. And I've seen it so many times in my dreams and it's so vivid. And I was like, oh, but now I could turn and I could see the house and I could see that there was a clove beside me. So it was an entrance that was made up of like the trees and leaves. And when I entered it, I entered a cave. And the sound healing was still happening. And I laid down. And as the sounds washed over me, my chakras all lit up in colors that I swear I would go on Photoshop after and I was trying to look for the colors and I cannot describe it. There was such brilliance and such, it was intensely amazing. And I just felt so clear, so connected. And I've never felt that way before. Just before the session ended, somehow when I looked up, I saw that there were like trees or like leaves above me as the cave ceiling. And I got up, I turned towards the left, so the exit, the other exit. I stepped out onto a small stretch of beach and there was the ocean. And in the distance, there was the three pyramids of Egypt with gold caps on it. And at that point, I didn't know that there were the gold caps on the top of the pyramids originally. And I came back out and I looked at them and I was like, wow, what was that? And they just gave me a look. And they were just and they didn't say anything at all. And I left feeling like, did I just imagine all that? What happened? So no idea. The week after, one of my therapy sessions turned out into an Aboriginal healer. who was under the guise of something else. She looked at me, she was like, something just happened to you. And I was like, yeah, can I ask you a question? So I described it. And she was like, my dear, you just entered dream time. And I'm like, what's dream time? And she explained it all to me. And I was like, oh my God, it's an awakening. Okay. So I'm just going to fast forward a little more because there's a link there. Um, the following year, when I started school, the person who introduced me to the Barcelona College was Dr. Brian Morris's brother, Aaron Morris. And Aaron Morris teaches a course with Patrick called syntropy. So it's one of the techniques in chiropractic. So Aaron told me that he helped set up the Barcelona College. He explained the difference of like a philosophically based school and where these schools are located, etc. So that's how I knew about it. And Aaron told me like, oh, one of my really dear friends, her daughter is she's coming to the school to study in the same year as you. And her name is Easy. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went to Spain. I did not know anyone at all. I had to learn a new different language. My brother came with me to help set up in the initial stages. And then I started meeting my classmates. And I met Easy, who I call now Belle. That's her whole name is Isabella. And she's amazing. Belle's family is from Australia. She's half English, half Australian. And her Australian family, her grandfather, works with the Aboriginal people. Belle's written a book that's going to be made into a film, and it's about the Aboriginal Dreamtime. Belle's family is from a place called Alice Springs in Australia, and there is so much connection to the land and to the people there. And I learned so much about the people and the culture through her and her family. And all these things constantly kept adding up. So I knew that I was going to go to Australia at some point. I knew I was going to go to Egypt at some point. Australia happened faster than I expected. 2 years after starting Barcelona, COVID hit. And it was hard because like administratively, and there were so many things that made it really challenging. So I was like, okay, maybe we need to look for a new school. And then Belle's mom was like, oh, there's a new school that's now opened in Adelaide. And it's the same content and the same philosophy as the school in Barcelona. Do you want to come back? And we were like, okay, let's come back. And that's how my journey to Australia started. There's actually a lot more to my story along the way, but this will go for days, honestly. It's like everything has got a link and a connection and a deeper story than anything else. And just to finish up on that point of that sound healing session I made, even years later, last year I did an internship in Canberra and I met a family from New Zealand. They're Maori, and they're a strong Maori family. And I told this story to them. And the lady told me, you didn't just have an Aboriginal Dreamtime awakening, you had a Maori awakening. Their clan came from Egypt. Okay, I'm gonna pause there.
Holy moly. I have so many questions, but maybe that's another podcast. Wow. There's so many threads, so many layers. Like,
Mm,
it's almost like the physical aspect of things
mm,
just led you to reconnect back to all these different threads of, I don't know, maybe it's like lineage from past lives or, all these different connections that are present within your field, even right now, right? Like the parallels of it all.
There's
Yeah.
so much,
There's,
Mal.
I
There's
can't, I
so
can't imagine.
much.
I can't imagine. But even with what you've shared, everything really served a purpose. All adds up. Like it's been orchestrated divinely.
Yes.
Wow.